Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for September 22nd, 2019. It's always that pause of what day am I on when I'm not at work. Anyway, this week was not a bad week at work, so I'm just giving kind of an update on it. It was actually a good work week. Like, I still was super tired every day. I came home, I don't want to be there. And then I had 2 10-hour days. We had inventory in the parts room, which was a disaster. Now, I've never done the inventory there, but now that they've moved me to, into the office with the other parts people, now I'm part of the parts department too. Anyway, let's not start on that rant. Anyway, the point is that I spent doing inventory. And again, I did inventory for 16 years at my last job. So it's not like I didn't have knowledge of what to do. And we did do part room. We didn't do the parts room more than twice that I recall, because it was just our disaster at the last place. This one has the same kind of issue because people are in and out. So they're trying to lock it down and they're trying to get better. Anyway, so they're doing everything good. So anyway, we did counts, and it was just long Thursday, long Friday. I don't like 10-hour days. I don't know how people do it all the time. I don't like them. I don't want to be there that long. I want to go home. And no, I don't go home to, family or, spouse and kids, but I don't want to be at work that long. Anyway, so I made it through the week, but it was a good week, as in we got a lot done. And, I was getting along better with my supervisors, which is always a good deal. Although one of them made a funny comment about they were surprised at how good I was at inventory. And I'm like, as in the counts, like I knew we're finding things. I was just like, oh my God. Anyway, like, do you not remember what was on my, that I was in inventory? Anyway, no problem. Long time ago. No problem. Let it go back. Okay, I've ranted long enough. Or I've maybe overshared. Anyway, the point is that this week was better. I'm still not looking forward to going to work tomorrow, but oh well. Today it is really rainy here in Portland, Oregon, and of course I left my jacket at work. So I was like, a typical Oregonian, I'm like, whatever, it's rain. I'm not gonna die. So I'm a little, my hair was wet anyway, but I meant my bangs kind of went flat because I didn't know. Anyway, you don't need to know that. But it is raining and kind of really nice. So I'm planning a reading day later today. So let's get this filming done and then I can go read. So I'm going to talk about the books that I read, the ones I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. So I did sit down and finish I Should Be Writing, Writer's Workshop by Mur Lafferty. She has written several books. One of them I've read is 6 Wakes, and also she does a podcast called I Should Be Writing. And she was one of the first to do a writing podcast, I guess. Anyway, so I enjoy this. It's very simple, like not too much text. There's a lot of pictures, and it was really fast reading, and it's just really much going through everything about trying to get you to write. And I just needed a few, it was just kind of a push to kind of make me start thinking about writing again. And even though I didn't like go and write right away, and I did not do, there's exercises in the back that you can do, so there are a few interesting ones, but I don't do well with exercises. Doesn't work for me anymore. So mostly it's just I need to sit my butt in the chair in front of the computer and write. But I have had a couple of ideas for stories, so I've written those down, and I'm contemplating those for the coming NaNoWriMo or National Novel Writing Month in November. I had a story idea I really would like to revisit, but I have made the choice after reading this book that I think I need to have a project that's fun and not as stressful, as in I'm putting stress on myself to write a really good book, to get myself back into writing. So I've decided to play around this November rather than write this novel idea I have that I will have to revisit. But anyway, this book was really fun. It was not, again, it's nothing really new. It was just more of a spark. So if you're into that kind of thing, or if you do want actual writing exercises to like have someone dictate to you what, maybe try these things, this is a good book for that too. Personally, I just thought it was fun. I would get it from my library if I were you, but I bought it anyway. So But I thought it was good. And as I said, it'll go back on my shelf, or my writing group has a cart of writing books. I might take it and put it on that so other people can read it in my writing group. Then I continued to read Last Witnesses, an oral history of the children of World War II. I think I accidentally said World War One last week, but it was two. It was definitely two. This is by Savanya Elekovic. Sorry, I cannot say that name today. This is translated from the Russian by Richard Pavar and Larissa Voloronsky. See, they're actually on the cover because they're pretty famous for their Russian translations of a lot of different books. So anyway, this is a book that originally came out in 1985 in Russia, and it talks about children all under the age of 14 who, at least I'm pretty sure 14 was the oldest kid that was in this book, or person was 14 when the war broke out or during the war when they had their memory from. Mostly they were pretty young actually, because again, this was she gathered them in the 80s, the early 80s to write this book. So, you know, they were all very much adults by then, and looking back on this. And I read the Unwomanly Face of War last November, and that was all the women who had gone to war for World War II. And again, this is Elekovic is giving voice to the people that are not always heard in history, the women who fought in that war, as well as now we're seeing the kids who were. This was really a sad one. I mean, again, I knew going in it was going to be sad. It's about war, but it's talking about most of the ones who were on the borders that were invaded, and the things that, you know, war crimes, at least I would consider war crimes that happened to these poor people. It was just hard to read a lot of that stuff, but she writes it in such a style where you only hear the person's voice as in they're telling their story, and you don't hear the author, or as she interviews them, she just lets them tell the story, and she gives it to us that way. And again, I love her style for that. And again, this is my 4th book of hers that I've read. I will be reading probably the 5th one, Secondhand Time, that's on the fall of the Soviet Union in November. I don't know if I can hold off and not read that, because I mean, even though I'd be caught up and I'd have read everything that was in that I think she's written, I still want to read that one. So I probably will. But this was really good. Again, I got lucky and found it at my library. It was on their, new shelf. So I got lucky. I picked it up, and I'm glad I read it. I was going to read this at any point. It was on my wish list to buy when it, to watch for it to turn to paperback. But I will probably still buy it paperback at some point. But now it's not a rush because I have read it. So I did really enjoy that. And I would recommend that to anybody who likes nonfiction. And again, it's mostly, I like it because again, talking about people that you don't usually hear the stories about in war. And it was very hard hitting in some places. Then I had one more library book that's due today. So I was still not feeling like picking up the science fiction, which I'll get to in a second. So I picked up my last library book, and that was The 10 Loves of Nishino. This is by Hiromi Kawakami. So that's the name. Anyway, they've blocked it out. I don't know why they didn't. Why did they just put it over here? I don't know. Anyway, libraries. Anyway, but again, I got this. This was one of the books that I was going to ask for, but it popped up finally that they had it, and I just, so I got it I had it holded. They're supposed to come in for Women in Translation. I have read one of her books before. I read The Strange Weather in Tokyo, and I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I still enjoyed it, and it's still a book that I think about. So I did want to read more of her books. I have 2 of her other books, sorry. I have a short story collection, something about the night, Record in a Brief Night or something. And then I also have the, where is it? Here? It's not here. It's not in the back here. I don't know why. But I have the Nakano thrift shop still to read. Anyway, so I'll probably pick that up in the next year. So I picked this up because it was new. And I almost bought it. And now I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it. It wasn't... Okay. So, as I said, I like Strange Weather in Tokyo. It was because that was more of a relationship between a younger woman and an older man. And it was just a weird story. So this one talks about Nishino, and it's his story, but it's told by 10 women who have known and loved him in certain different capacities. And in that way, this is like a short story collection. And I did not think of that going into, and I am not that good at short stories. So that was hard for me. But they interlinked enough that it was interesting. And it wasn't a linear timeline. Like it was, the first one was actually was part of the end, but also part of his middle years. And then there's one from when he was a middle schooler, and then there was high school, and there's college, and then there's work. And this guy, he's not a guy I would really want as a boyfriend or lover or whatever. I don't know. He was just, I don't know, weird. I don't know. I'm laughing because I don't know how to explain this book. I think that's my problem. So the 10 different sections talk about him, as I said, in different ways and different instances in life. So it's throughout his life. So you get a lot of him, but you don't get him. Like, you don't actually know what he's thinking. There's only a few times he really talks about maybe what he's thinking or feeling. Most of the time you don't know what's going on in his head or why he does stuff. And it was a weird book. I did like it. Like, I still read it, and I read it in almost a day. I read 16 pages before I went to bed on Monday night, and then I read this all day Tuesday when I got home from work, because I don't think I read much. I don't think I got to read at work that day, which is becoming typical. Anyway, but I read it so it's really short. It's like 172 pages. So I breezed through this. It was fast reading. Weird though. Weird. He was weird. There were some kinks, it was so, the very beginning kind of is doesn't feel quite real. But once you get past that, everything feels like that. It's pretty like a normal guy or normal situations. You kind of get it. And then the very end kind of goes, again, a little off the deep end for one part of it that I'm like, what? So, I don't know. I marked it because I was just because it was pretty far into it, and I was like, what is going on? So anyway, I don't know how to explain this, or I don't know if I can recommend this. Now, if you've read her other books and liked them, yeah, you're going to want to read this just because it's interesting. I don't know. I found it bizarre and definitely not my favorite, and I do not need to own a copy. So it originally came out in 2003. This is translated from the Japanese by Allison Markin Powell. And I still think it was interesting. It was a quick read, but I am glad I didn't buy that. Because I probably would get rid of it because it was weird, the things that threw me off. It was still written really well. And the translation I think is good. I don't feel like there were any hiccups that way. It was just, it went off the deep end twice for me. Luckily it was a short book, so I still finished it. And then I picked up the next book the manga in The Girl from the Other Side by Nagami Gambi. This is, where's the translation on this thing? Translated by Adina Beck. Sorry. So anyway, this is Japanese manga. I'm really enjoying these. Again, I saw this on, I think, Rhea the Book Finch and Rachel at Colonnati. They've been reading them, and so I've started getting them from the library. So I read book 1 a couple weeks ago, so I read book 2, and then the third one is waiting at the library for me. So if I like that one, I'll probably get the next one. I don't know how many There were at least 5, I think. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. I haven't looked to see how long the series is, but this is weird. So it has to do with a little girl who is left in a village all by herself. Everybody else has evacuated, and this outsider watches over her, but he's not allowed to touch her. There's some kind of cursed thing going on, and it just gets weirder and weirder. So that's about all I can say. There's a town close by that's, you know, all like all the humans hide behind the walls and only go out when they have to. But they've left her behind for some reason. So anyway, so it's, as I said, it's a cute, it's pretty dark drawings. Like it's a very, very bleak drawing. And it's just different. And I don't know. I like it. Anyway, so I'm going to be continuing reading that. Okay, so those are all the things I finished. So the books that I'm in the middle of, okay, I am still working through Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. This is the first book in the Expanse series. So I'm reading this for Space Opera September. I'm reading, there's a read-along going on Discord on that's Rachel at the Shades of Orange is doing, and I'm not behind like the group. I think I'm pretty much where everybody else is, but I meant to read this earlier, but as I said, I last week had a block on this, and it happened again the end of this week, and I think it really has to do with the fact I still think this is a book that I need to be immersed in, and I have to have nothing on, and I have to have time to read this. For some reason, I can't just pick this book up and read a couple pages and put it down, even though the chapters are super short for me, like for this kind of a book. So I'm kind of surprised at how hard I fight picking this book up, because once I do, I love it, and I'm super enjoying this. Again, it has to do with people who live in our solar system. They've moved out to planets and asteroids and to the belt, and you know, there's, you know, people live on the moon and Mars and several of the, you know, as I said, planets. And this is, something's going on with the world. My cat is freaking out on my chair. Hey, Cooper! Oh my God, you should see his face. He's just like all freaking out. I don't know what he's doing. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so it's like the whole place, all the Belters, which is the people who live in the asteroid belt, and then the people who live on the Martians who live on Mars and the Earth, and they're all kind of in contention at this point. So I'm only about 360 pages in, 560. So I have 200 pages left, approximately. So I really want to finish this book today. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm going to try my best to read as much as I can. As I said, I didn't read for the 2 days after we had inventory. Thursday and Friday, I did not read anything. My brain was like fried. Like I could not think. But yesterday I did a good chunk. So I'm hoping that today I can get even a better chunk and maybe finish this book, because I'd really like to finish this before Monday, but you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I am really enjoying this, and it's definitely, if it continues the way it's going, because it's so action-packed, and I mostly like the main characters in this. One guy I'm like, oh, dude, really? Like, you're so naive sometimes. And the other guy I really like. So, we'll see what happens. But I do want to try to finish this, and instead I'm you know, making my comments on Discord so with the other people, which is awesome that we're all reading this book. And I said I probably am going to try to find the second book at some point, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to buy it until after I finish it. We'll see. But anyway, I'm really enjoying that, and as I said, I'm hoping to finish this today or tomorrow. Hopefully. I want to be done. I want to move on. I didn't really listen to much of The Witchward Crown by Tad Williams in my car. I just didn't feel like it. And I'm kind of getting to the point now where far enough in where I now want to I might just start skimming to the points that I don't, you know, like, it's just like I'm remembering more and more as we go through this, but I don't know if I want to read through the whole thing right now. I don't know. And so, because I want to get to Empire Grass, the second book, I've had it for, you know, 5 months and I haven't picked it up yet. 4 months, whatever. So anyway, I do want to pick up Empire Grass before the end of the year. So I probably, between now and probably December. I might just skim through this. So I don't know if I'm going to listen to the audiobook much anymore. I'm just not positive. Or I might fast forward to the end and just, as I said, just kind of skim. Because there are certain storylines I remember that were not my favorite that have now started. Just, I mean, it's because I already remember what happened with them that I'm like, I don't want to listen to that part. So we'll see what I do. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this. So this is kind of back on the back burner again. So we'll see. But if I feel like listening to an audiobook, I am sure this is the one I'll pick up and continue reading to that. I just haven't. I'm actually having trouble in my car. I think my car radio is going out or something. Or where you plug in for either for your phone, you know, like it just like it like will work for a couple of songs or for a couple minutes of listening, and then all of a sudden it'll show it's playing. My phone will show it's still running, but I can't hear anything out of the speakers. So I think the thing's going anyway. So then just to talk about what I might read this next week is kind of up in the air. I did want to say I've decided not to read Bellman in Black by Diane Satterfield. I'm going to return this to the library. It's just not the time for it. Maybe it's because work's been stressful, but I started to read this and I read about 20 pages and I was just like, I don't care right now. And it's not the writing style. I think it was just a slow start. And that's not what I wanted right now. So I've decided that this is a book it'll be on a, you know, again, maybe some other day, you know, other time I will think about it and pick it up or find a used copy. But right now, it's just, even though there's a cool readathon going on, I don't want to read it. So after I finish Leviathan Wakes, which I hope I do today, but we'll see, I'm going to pick up Archangel's Prophecy by Nalini Singh and reread this. Oh, did I say but this is book 11? Yes, so this is book 11 in the Guild Hunter series. This book is really funny because I just realized that I don't know if I mean, I must have read it. I don't know if I reread this one at all because I have only vague memories of this one. And I usually reread them a couple times during the year. I don't know if I have. So anyway, I got this last year when it came out. And so I want to reread this because it really goes with the one that's coming out on Tuesday. So, and that of course is, oops, it's not good, is Archangel's War by Nalini Singh, which is number 12. And this is supposed to be epic, and I mean, as in so many things happen, and people are already putting online 5 stars, and the reviewers and all saying that it was just tears your heart out. And I know it's coming, and I don't know what's going to happen, and it worries me. But I'm super excited for this book again. It comes out on Tuesday. So I want to reread this one first. So I'm probably, even if that comes out and I get it Tuesday afternoon when I get home from work, I have to finish this one first. So that's why I want to get Leviathan Wakes done today, so that I can get a good chunk of this done tomorrow. And then anyway, that's the plan. So beyond that, I will be taking part in Gone with a Book. That's being put on by Mel at Mel's Bookland Adventures, which is you read a book from the early 20th century up until prior to 1950. So I have so many books that are prior 1950, you know, 1900 to 1950. So I don't think I have any problem with choices. It's just coming down with what I'll pick up. So I do have 2 books that I have started already this year that I might pick up, or I might pick up another book that I've been wanting to pick up that just, you know, happens to be in that time period. So I'm going to try to do that, but I'm not making any promises despite, because I can't tell you how I feel right now, let alone in a couple of days on what book I will pick up. So that's everything. I, of course, rambled on again. But anyway, so have you guys read any of these books? What are you guys reading right now? Anything good? Let me know. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.